Hey everyone, I recently had the opportunity to run another introductory workshop about the best practices for getting your assets into Unreal Engine for LTU, or Lawrence Technical University. This workshop was completely free for all participants and was funded by Epic Mega Grants through LTU and was run fully remotely through Discord. This is a 4-part series that captures the entire workshop. The workshop covers the best practices for asset preparation using Maya and 3ds Max, and also the Datasmith workflow for Unreal Engine. Module 1 is a 2-part video series that covers the best practices of preparing your 3D models and data for Unreal Engine. Module 2 covers the 3ds Max to Datasmith workflow, and Module 3 covers the CAD to Datasmith workflow. If you found this helpful, let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to share more Unreal Engine content on my YouTube channel in the future. So with that, enjoy. So I'm going to be starting the next module. So module 2 is going to be about looking at Datasmith. Okay, so module 2 will be specifically looking at Datasmith, importing Datasmith files into UE, and just how to set up Datasmith as a tool. So the good thing is, right, everything that we've gone through so far still applies to Datasmith. You want to make sure that you implement all of these best practices for during the Datasmith workflow. Okay, so everything that we covered, regarding naming conventions, materials models, optimization, textures, everything. Okay. The benefit of Datasmith is that it helps the import-export process. Okay, so while we do that, here's a couple things I'd like you guys to do in the background. Okay, open up the Epic's game launcher here, go to the marketplace, type in search product automotive materials, and you'll get this automotive materials. Go ahead and just download that. It's completely free, and this is a fantastic. This is the best material pack, not only for automotive but just anything industrial, product design, what have you. It's paints, it's metals, it's plastics, rubbers, leathers, cloths, everything. Grab that. All right, and what's going to happen is it's going to show up here. It's going to show up down here in your vault, and you're going to add that, and then you're going to add that to your project. Now, here's the only disclaimer. Okay, remember how the last workshop people ran into like an hour, maybe I think an hour or so compiling shaders. This is a material and shader heavy asset, meaning if you bring that in, you're going to have to recompile all your shaders. Okay, so it's just something that you can run in the background. But it may be something you want to wait and do. Download it so you have it, and then add it to the project after. Now, the other thing that you can do is simply go to add import here. We're going to add a content pack. All right. What I want to do is add feature or content pack. And I'm going to want to add content packs. Just add the starter content. Okay, the starter content is already installed on your machine. It's installed in on your C drive and all that. So go ahead and simply add to project for starter content. And what that's going to do, Unreal Engine is really fast about just bringing, other Unreal Engine assets into your project. So you can close that. It's done. There, it's literally done already. Took it a second. Close that, and then look. You have all of these, you have these maps, materials that you can start to use, and you can even apply to your object. So if you want to play around with different materials, this starter content is fantastic. Not only that, but like it has these shapes, and it has these props. So you can bring in, these different types of props and whatnot. And if you go under architecture, it has like these walls and pillars and stuff, so you can kind of build your own environment on the fly. All right. So I just want to get those two things kind of running here in the background. And while we do that, let's go ahead now, and I'm gonna go to the maps folder we have here, and I'm going to go to room start. Okay, so this is going to be a clean room. So let's take a look now finally at Datasmith. So there's a couple things that we have to do with Datasmith. All right. Number one is that you have to install. So if you go ahead and click this link here, this link is going to take you to the Datasmith export plugins. Because remember, the way Datasmith works is that it takes any and all different file types and allows you to import them into Unreal Engine. Okay, you can see there's Autodesk 3ds Max, SketchUp, Revit, Navisworks, Rhino, Graphisoft, and FormZ. Those are just specific to the tools. Now, if you're using something like a CAD modeling software, we're going to take a look at that workflow too. But this one's going to be looking at specifically the 3ds Max workflow. Okay, so I already have this installed. As you can imagine, you want to make sure you download it for the right Unreal Engine version. So you want to download the exporter, and it goes through and run the exporter. If you have 3ds Max on your machine, I recommend doing that. Make sure you have 3ds Max closed, and once you do that and you run the exporter, everything will be good to go. Like basically, if I click on this here, it'll basically run you through the wizard, and I already have everything, like I said, already set up. And it works all the way back up until 3ds Max 2016, and then even up to 3ds Max 2021. I'm using 3ds Max 2020. I'm just going to cancel this because I already have it installed and I don't want it to mess with anything. And cool, done. And how do we know that it's been added in here? Like if I create just a simple box object and I go to export, or basically export a blank scene, you want to go down here to save as type, and there it is, Unreal Datasmith. This is a .udatasmith file. Perfect. Okay, now how do we get, where's our scene? Where's our scene in 3ds Max? The good thing is, if you're going, I already have this saved out as a scene here. So I have this room interior max. Or if you're going from Maya, just export this as a Maya scene as an FBX using the Autodesk Media Entertainment. So meaning I can select this, export selection, give it a second, FBX import, and then use the Autodesk Media Entertainment and just export the whole scene, the whole group, whatever. And then when you're here, you can simply re-import this FBX. So if I go to import FBX, now the only thing here, you guys, is that this is just the workflow just to get this into 3ds Max. This is all this is. So let it think, and remember, it's using Autodesk Media Entertainment. Boom. We're gonna go ahead and do that. And this is a fairly light scene, so it imports pretty quick. And there you go. And look at that. Everything's already, all the materials and textures, all the grouping. If I go ahead and look at my scene explorer here, look at that. All of our groups and scenes and everything, just like in Maya, is done. It has carried over to 3ds Max. Okay, so the SVX exporter is very good in that aspect. Okay, so just to make sure, if I go ahead and open, I already had the scenes for this already set up, and you can just open that and you can see that the file unit scale, if it's set to millimeters, that's fine, as long as it's kind of the same working. So you want to actually, I would say, rescale the file's objects to the system unit scale. The system unit scale is 1 unit equals 1 centimeter. So what it will do is it'll go ahead and convert that over, right? And we can hit OK. And then just to be sure, like I said, if we're using this is going to be 183 height centimeters. Boom. There we go. So everything's kind of working the way that it should. This is a 6 foot tall cube. We go inside. I always got to get my shortcuts between Maya and Max. There you go. Right? So this is the importance again of scale. So everything's good to go. This is pretty much the exact same scale. This is the exact same scale as I had in Maya. Maya was centimeters. 3ds Max is centimeters. And now what we can do is, I'll go ahead and just delete that. Now we can just export this out. So remember previously what we did, right? Previously what we did was we went ahead and exported everything individually. We exported them all as separate FBXs. And we had regular exports, this here. All these different exports, okay? What Datasmith does is it automates all of that for you. Okay, it takes care of all of the settings. It supports instancing, which is nice. So let's say I have those 3 lamps in my scene. I can instance it and move it, and that instancing will carry over. So instancing means it loads one model or one mesh in memory, and the instances, all it has to track is the transforms. So it's saving on. It's just an optimization thing that you can do. It takes care of materials and textures. It converts all the necessary normal maps and everything, all your textures. It sets the proper units and scale. It sets the pivots. This is a big one, right? Because remember, it wasn't necessarily a problem. It's just how Unreal Engine works. Well, Datasmith makes sure that all the pivot points and scene hierarchies are the same. Here's another one, auto-generates these light mapped UVs and then converts maps. So if we zoom in here on my slide, we can take a look. We got to make sure though, first we load the right Datasmith plugins, because a Datasmith tool is supposed to be right up here in near our settings. So in order to do that, let's go to Window, and we want to go to, or not Window, sorry, Project Settings. And in project settings, not project settings, sorry, editor. There we go. Editor. Oh, I probably had them mixed up, to be honest. Yeah, I need importer. Oh, it's neither of those. Gosh, I don't know why I blanked. Sorry, it's supposed to be plugin. Oopsies. So we want to go to edit plugins. Edit plugins. Sorry, I don't know why I went to these two. So we want to go to plugins because I want to find importer. Or you could literally just go here and type in Datasmith, right? And you'll have all that stuff. Or it's down here under importers, all right? So we want to make sure we have, now if you're using C4D, it looks like CAD, just be careful. It's Cinema 4D. If you're using Cinema 4D, boom, use this, okay? We want to enable the CAD importer, hit yes. Because it's going to prompt a restart, so we'll have to restart after this. But go ahead and turn on multiple plugins here. Datasmith FBX importer, yeah, and then Datasmith content. Okay, so most of these, like the Datasmith content, these are version 1.0, but they're still considered beta. So they're still, Unreal Engine's still working through them, but they work. I've been using this since like way early, and it had stability issues, but they seem to have addressed most of those, and it gets more stable with every version. And it'll probably be good if you're doing like Revit stuff to use Datasmith GLTF importer, so you might as well just turn that on. And then you want to make sure to do Datasmith importer, of course. Yeah. Okay. If you're unsure, maybe I wouldn't say turn all of them on, but you should be fine if you turn all of them on. All right. So once you do that, once you select all of these, I call these out specifically here, the Datasmith content, the FBX importer, and the Datasmith importer here. Okay. Go ahead and restart Unreal Engine. So go ahead and hit restart now. And we'll zoom out here. And let's go ahead and take a look at exporting our model from 3ds Max into Unreal Engine. So what I'm going to do now, everything seems to be good. How do we know that it's loaded properly? Close this. Boom. Datasmith. Import Unreal Datasmith. So we now have this icon. I want to make sure that I go to this room start here. Okay, so I have this room start. Remember, this is all the lighting and everything set up here, and the volumes and reflections and everything. So if you want to drop it in this one, you can, or hit Control N, right? It doesn't really matter. You can hit Control N and just do a clean default scene. I can delete this here. Then I want to go to Workshop. And I want to go to Datasmith folder. This is where we're going to save this, okay? So, like we said, let's go ahead and export all of this. So I'm just going to click off, make sure I have nothing selected. I'm going to go to File, Export. Okay. What this is going to do is going to do the entire scene. All right. And I want to go to, now I'm not going to export this straight into, into Unreal Engine. I want to save it out here first. Now, if you don't have 3ds Max, or if you don't have Datasmith as you're following along on this workshop, don't worry, I have it already exported here, okay? So I can grab this here, this link, and this is where I'm gonna wanna save this, and I can do this, and I can do this as a Unreal Datasmith file. And I'm not gonna save over this, but I'm gonna do room interior _ demo, right? Because we're doing this live in this workshop. So I can hit that. I want to do all visible objects, current render frame only. All of this is fine. Hit OK. That's literally it. That's it. Datasmith doesn't really let you do anything. Now, it's going to come up with some warnings. I already went through these. It's just talking about a couple of odd UVs here and whatnot, but nothing that's is really going to cause any visible issues inside of Unreal Engine. Okay, so let's take a look at what this did though. So here is that room interior demo. Look at this file. Let me move this over here. 383 kilobytes just for that one Datasmith file. Well, if you look here, it created what's called an assets folder. If you guys if you've done work in CAD or done stuff with Maya or 3ds Max or Blender file referencing, what it does is create kind of a master file and then references all of the objects that are in here. And it goes ahead and creates all of these UD meshes and exports all the textures. All of that is sitting in here. So if I do a quick, check this properties, yeah, a couple hundred megs, that's about right. All right. So what I can do now is, copy this link, and I want to go to Datasmith. So you go ahead and import Datasmith file, and then I want to go to wherever that link was. And for this live workshop, we'll do room interior demo. Hit open. Now it's going to ask us some questions after, of course, I tell it, hey, I want you to save into this Datasmith folder here. Hit OK. Now it's going to ask us, hey, do you want to bring in geometry? Yes. Materials and textures? Yes. Lights? I don't have lights set up. This is where if I set up my V-Ray lights and materials, it would automatically import them and set them up inside of Unreal Engine. But I don't have lights, cameras, or animation, so I don't need these. And then expand the settings here. And look at this. Right out the gate. Right out the gate, you can tell this, hey, I want to give these, you know what? I don't want to start at 64. I want to start at 128. I know I have a high-end machine. I want high quality, high-res light maps. You can raise them here. You can even go up to a max of 1024 if you want. Now this is based off texel density. So what this means is it will see the size of your object. So in this case, if I go to inside my scene here, inside of 3ds Max, it's going to make sure that this has an appropriate light map. It's not going to give 1024. It's not going to give 1024 to this. Okay. What it will give 1024 is this, because this is taking up a lot of texel density. Okay, not pixel density, texel density. Same thing here. It'll probably be somewhere in the middle here for these. So that'll be good. So automatically generate light map UVs, max, hit import. Now let's see what's going to happen. Boom, done already. It's going to do a little bit of compiling shaders. So those of you that are, bringing this in the first time, it'll be a quick import. But take a look at that. Boom. Now I know we just went through a manual process of doing this with FBX, so don't kill me, because now you see that Datasmith literally did it like that, like instantaneously. What's nice about this too, look at this. Look at your outliner, the world outliner, room interior demo, main interior room, balcony, all of this, this structure has carried over one for one. Look at this. Look at these pivots, right? It set and adjusted all of these pivots. Now I can actually move these things based off the pivots of the original objects inside of 3ds Max and Maya, or coming from Maya. Like that alone, I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. That's so nice. So you no longer have, it resets it to the origin point here. And you have the, groups. So it sets these groups. Look at these, all my lamps in this one nice group. Okay. I can grab this table, right? And then now I can go to that materials folder that I had previously, right? Because you can see what it does here. It tries to create these materials. It creates these as master materials. It creates them as material instances that are based off of this master material. Look how it does a pretty good job. This is Datasmith automatically doing this. Otherwise, I would have to have manually created these myself. Like it does a pretty darn good job noticing, hey, you got spec maps, so you got normal maps. We're going to link those all in the proper part or the proper nodes. All right. I mean, this is pretty solid here, but we already have materials. Like in this case, the coffee table. I can go to my materials here under ArcViz, remember, and just grab that coffee table here. Coffee table. Oh, if I spelled coffee right. There we go. Boom. Okay. So what happens though, right? You saw me re-import FBX meshes, right? If we changed it and wanted to re-export, simple process, right? Well, what about here? What if I want to change some stuff here? Let's use this, for example, this face. I'm going to make this really noticeable. I'm going to really change this up. Make this a big, obnoxious statue that's going to sit here. And then I also want to, hey, delete this lamp. I don't want this lamp anymore in this corner by the window. So what I can do is I can zoom back out and I can go to File, Export again, just re-export the scene. Okay. So if I go to Room Interior Demo, I made a couple of changes. I made some adjustments. I moved things around. I scaled it. I'm doing all this in Max. I can save this out. Don't worry about our warnings here. I can go back into Unreal Engine. I can go down to Datasmith where it imported. So I go to Room Interior Demo. Look at this, right? Excuse me. So we have this. So this is our Datasmith actor. Here are all of our textures. Okay. And in here are all of our materials, and you can see it created master nodes. So, and here are all of the geometries, right? Here are all of our books and everything, right? Our railings, our shelves, all of it's here organized. And they have the right names too. All right. Now I think if you go to this piece here, the statue 48, let's see, will it let me re-import this? So what you need to do is not do it there because it's not going to change anything. You need to go back to the Datasmith file, Room Interior Import, right click and re-import, and it's going to prompt a new import. Now you have a couple of other settings too. Now you have, hey, do you want me to sync the Datasmith scene actors? Specifies whether or not to update the Datasmith actors in the current level. I want to say yes. What that means is any changes I did outside, I want it to update inside of Unreal Engine. Respawn deleted actors. What that means is if I delete models in Unreal Engine, like let's say if I deleted the lamp in Unreal Engine, but not in 3ds Max, I can say, no, leave it deleted in Unreal. I don't want to re-import it without having to go back for us. So it's just going to keep things organized. And it's going to do something that's actually not shown here. But watch, if I go ahead and re-import, boom. And it goes ahead. Oops. Let's zoom in here. Look at that. Look at that big statue. Right? Look at the lamp. The lamp's gone. It's deleted. And it did it through a simple re-import. Oh yeah, look at this. I reassigned this material. It doesn't overwrite them with the previous materials. That means anything that you've done previously, where I reassign new materials to this, I want to like reassign it to this couch here. So I'm glad, you know, I was able to show that. So I can do mi couch. You know, I can throw these on this couch. You can also just drag and drop on the straight up model itself like this. Okay. All of that will say, okay, hey, Unreal will know. Hey, we got it. We see that you're using project specific materials. We're going to reassign those for you. Cool. Thank you. So do, what is this? This is a new scene. This is a new level. So if I save out this level here, I do a file, save all. This will be my Datasmith map. Smith map. And then it's going through and saving all the assets for Datasmith. So let it do its thing. Let it kind of think here for a second. Awesome. So that's done. And then you know what? I go back here to 3ds Max. I'm like, you know what? Actually, this is too obnoxious. I don't want to delete that. I want to keep that there, blah, blah, blah. And do, you know, just remember, not export selected, regular export. Find your Unreal Datasmith, save over this. It's going to update the assembly, update all the models, maintain all of the connections. It's like a live link, almost a live link, right? And obviously it's not a complete live link because I have to tell it when to re-import. But if I go to Datasmith here and find this file, I can again re-import. And just re-import with the previous settings. And we will see that if we go back into here, there you go. All right. Now you could, let me see if I double click and open this. This is MI. You could actually update this on this part here, and you can actually assign materials on the static mesh menu if you want. Because what I can do now is if I go to my maps and I go to the room start and save all of this stuff, sure, bringing in a lot of stuff here. And what I can do is now bring in the Datasmith asset, this scene, drag and drop it, boom, look at that. I can drop this to whatever scene. Okay, and I want to reset transforms. All of my volumes, everything that was here previously is right there and aligned. Then what I want to do, right? Notice how my couch, and here's the thing that I wanted to show you this. Notice that I changed materials here in the outliner, but not in the mesh. So my couch, I changed in the mesh so it has the right material, but my coffee table doesn't. Oops. All right. So if you want to change it on the mesh, you can just kind of go here, double click the mesh, and then you can apply the right materials through this method. What is this coffee table? Coffee table instance. I can grab that and apply that here and then save that. And there you go. See how it updates there? So just keep in mind the differences between doing things in the outliner versus doing things in the content browser. Okay. Now, the one thing that I want to do is things are pretty dark here. I want to show you the power of all those auto-generated light maps. If we simply go to world settings, I'm going to turn this down. Go to your world settings. If you don't have world settings, you can open that up right here, settings, world settings. And then you can go to indirect bounces, 3. Just do 3 for right now. And everything else is fine. And then what I can do, maximum size, that's fine. Yeah. And then what I can do is do a build, lighting quality, preview, and go ahead and build this. And it's going to do a quick build. Now keep in mind, all of the meshes are set to static, okay, by default. So all of my meshes are set to static, all my lighting is good to go. If you take a look at the last workshop, we spent the whole workshop on lighting. Lighting, reflections, baking, light mask, post-processing. If you combine that with this, you guys will be set. You have some really nice looking levels here. It's going to build out pretty quick. I have kind of a beast machine, but that's why you use preview. Preview is going to be real quick regardless of your hardware. You can see that it doesn't spend a lot of time. So this is the swarm agent in your taskbar. Crack that open and you'll see that there. Okay, so finish building the lighting. Boom, there we go. So now we're starting to get some nicer looking lighting coming through in our scene. Okay, now you may need to adjust exposure because we turned down the light bouncing, right? Here I turned down, when you crank this up back to 10, indirect light bounces, that's going to bring some light back in there. But actually, if you let the auto exposure settle, it'll do what it needs to. All right, I'm going to keep things organized. I'm going to collapse this, go to our post-processing volume, and look at exposure. And you can maybe bump up the exposure compensation just a bit if it's not too bright, something like this, so you can see that. You can probably keep it around 2, honestly. All right. That's Datasmith. Really, really powerful. An incredible way to just bring in all of your assets and not have to spend a lot of time rebuilding. And the update process, really nice. Okay, so we did all this. We did the Datasmith automates the process with scene structure, pivots, materials, and textures. We loaded the starter content as well, so you can try out different materials and textures. We covered how to re-import changes. And then now, you guys try. So for this workshop, what I'd like you to do is, instead of doing the FBX, right, you're going to import using Datasmith. So what you're going to need to do is remember to load those plugins, right? So if you go to Edit, Plugins, you want to just load in the importer, and load in all the necessary Datasmith importers. And if you have 3ds Max or Revit on your end, do the file export and then export as a uDatasmith. If you don't, no big deal. Just import the file that I already gave you, which is this, Room Interior Datasmith. And you have all of these assets already with you. Do that. I would say try to get to this point where you re-import it into this clean level, into this level that I called Room Start. Import it into that one. Set up your materials, set up your lighting. Man, you're going to have basically, once you reassign materials and everything, a level that is, ready to go and create some nice renders out of. So, wood floor. Get that nice floor material in there. Boom. We want the wall paint interior. What is wall paint interior? Matte instance. Interior matte instance. By the way, you might notice this here. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. I think last thing was just this wall here. There we go. You might notice these guys. These are what's called blockers. If I hide these, basically without these and the back face culling, these are made to prevent light leaking. So light leaking is where basically the light kind of makes its way literally through these crevices here. So by having these here, you know, it all depends on the size, scale, and everything. It prevents any leaking from happening. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so we're right at a little bit over time, not over time, but right at time. So now is some workshop time. So go ahead, like I said, open up a clean level, apply materials. You know, oh yeah, set up LODs and collisions. Try to get as far as you can, right? Go in here. There is a workflow that is used to combine Datasmith and what's called visual data prep, but I felt like that started getting overcomplicating things a bit for what we're trying to do today. So I'm going to just stick with Datasmith, and I can maybe cover how to go deeper with automating things like creating LODs and collisions and stuff. Because you'll see if I click on the couch, you'll still need to create LODs here. So, you know, no big deal on that. You just need to remember, change it to large prop, hit yes. And for collision, right, we want to just add a simple box sphere and hit save. And then if you zoom in and out, you'll notice the try count updating, and you can see the LOD changing 0, 1, 2, 3. So basically do that for a good handful of models so you feel comfortable with that. Obviously, once you do that, it breaks the light bake. So I'll save and rebake. So I still want to give about 30 minutes for you guys to do workshop. Go through this. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll rebake the lighting here too. But hopefully you guys find this helpful. I mean, this Datasmith plugin really saves a ton of time and helps out the process. Okay. The next thing we're going to do in the next module is we're going to take a look at how to import raw CAD data. And we're going to use a couple of sites from there. So in the meantime, like I said, go ahead and spend the next 30 minutes kind of building this scene on your end. Ask me any questions, post anything in the chats, and we'll just keep moving along. All right, that concludes the recording for this specific module. Be sure to check out the rest of the modules in the description. And if you found this helpful, please let me know down below. And definitely plan to put out more Unreal Engine and Unity and real-time 3D content here in the near future. So thanks and take care, everyone.